Welcome to Sides of the Mic. This is March 3rd, I believe, March 3rd. And our guest caller in the hot seat tonight is Barry WONSON from Australia. Hi, Barry. So I start out with a very important first question. I always like to definitely get the most important thing out of the way first. And my first question for you would be who's your favorite Disney character?
Oh, favorite Disney character? Pluto. Because Pluto is always there to help.
So do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I'd say I'm an extrovert.
Okay. And are you optimistic or a pessimist?
I'm an optimist.
I guess we all are.
Yeah, I think that in square dancing we have to be, because we're always looking at a positive future. Even though we may have concerns about that future, we're still looking at towards in a positive manner.
Yeah. Yeah. You pretty much have to. The glass can't be half empty. It's got to be half full, at least.
I want it to be 3/4 full.
Yeah. Yeah. It sure beats whatever else there is. So what were you like in school?
I hated school.
Did you hate? Yeah.
I hated school with a passion. I think I was a fairly quiet, nerdy type kid, and I remember I think I was bullied a fair amount. I when I was at school, I was more interested in extra school activities. I was involved in church groups, in social groups, and I could not wait to leave school. The only things I liked in school, I liked English. Um, I liked because I've loved reading. I've always been a reader. My English teacher, his name was Neil Pound. He was a great guy. He was a terrific teacher, and he instilled in everybody the joy of reading all things. He said, you want to read classics, you want to read light fiction. He suggested a couple of things for me. At the time, it was John Wyndham, great science fiction writer. And he said, look, read Edgar Rice Burroughs, read Leslie Charteris, the Saint stories. And I did. I read, I think the first book that I actually read for pure entertainment was Edgar Rice Burroughs, A Princess of Mars. And I still remember it today. And then I think after that, I read Enter the Saint, Leslie Charteris. And would you believe it? I've only recently again read A Princess of Mars and Enter the Saint, but I no longer read physically. Now I listen audiobooks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I listen to audiobooks whenever I'm in the car. Every night when I go to bed, I have at least a half an hour listening to an audiobook. I've got about 2,000 here that I haven't read yet. I'm hoping to finish them next year.
Yeah. In between writing the note service, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did you? Well, English, but that made it almost passable between that and the extracurricular activities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I hated school. I found out I really do like it, but only later in life.
Yeah. I found that where I did not like the system in school where I was forced into subjects that I had no interest whatsoever, and I didn't care. I was never very good at mathematics. Um, that just didn't do anything, which meant that I was no good at physics and I was no good at chemistry. The English subjects, English, history, geography, I was okay with. But it wasn't enough to keep my interest when I was at school. But when after I left school, I did an apprenticeship. I became an electrician, and I was electrical fitter mechanic at the steelworks at Port Kembla. You know, we had a huge big steelworks here at that time, BHP. When I was there were 25,000 employees.
Wow.
Now there's 3,000. So I did my apprenticeship there, and I found that I liked what I was doing. I didn't like the mathematical aspects of it, but I ended up, I did technical college, what we call TAFE nowadays, technical and further education at night time. I did 4 years at night school, and that gave me what they called engineering certificate. And so that was interesting. And then I tried my hand at university after that. I did a year and a half doing electrical engineering, and I found that no, I hated it. So I didn't carry on. But when I was in my 30s, I decided to do something different. I went back to university again as a mature age student, and I did an arts degree in sociology, psychology, double major. So,
Oh, okay. That's great.
but
Yeah.
it was something that I wanted to do. I wasn't forced to do it. I didn't
Mhm.
have to do it to get a piece of paper to make me marketable. I just did it just for my own benefit. I
Mhm.
loved
Yeah. Makes a big difference.
it.
Makes
Yeah.
a big difference, yes. Uh, if you could change one thing in your life, what would it be?
I don't think I'd change anything. I, I can't see that I could change anything. I've had a great life. Like everything, you know, there's always ups, there's always downs. The ups far outweigh the downs. I've got great kids, got a great wife. We're happy where we are. Wish we had more money, but we're living, and that's all that matters. We
Mhm.
got a good future still, so it's fine. Great family, great grandkids with one on the way.
Aha.
Our daughter in Queensland, Alessa, she's got an 18-month-old baby. When she phoned us up yesterday, she said, "You're going to be a granddad again." Uh, she told us yesterday she's pregnant again. So that's great.
Very good. Very good. So, what kind of a daily routine are you going through nowadays?
Well, I get up anywhere between 8 o'clock and 9:30 of a morning. I'm not an early riser. I go out, I switch on the computer, I check emails, I see what I've got to write for BTM, and that's it. That's on one computer. On this computer, I go into the other computer, and then I'm currently transferring a whole lot of DVDs that I had over onto hard drives. So I'm converting all of them using a great free program, Make MKV. So I'm converting all my DVDs to MKV files. And when I say I've got about 3,000 DVDs, that's a lot. That's not including the Blu-rays and 4Ks that I've got, and of those I have about 4,000.
Wow.
Uh, and
And what are you going to do with these things?
I'm going to watch them in my retirement.
Long retirement, eh?
It,
You're going to invite
uh,
everybody over to watch with you?
anybody and everybody's welcome. I have a good home theater room in the back.
Oh, wow.
Um, I have an overhead projector. My room is my theatre room is 9 meters by 6.5 meters wide. I'm projecting onto a special wall, a special painted wall, and my screen is 186 inches.
Wow.
So it's home theatre. It's home cinema.
Yeah.
I watch something every night. Even after I come home from a dance, I watch something, whether it be a movie or an episode of TV series. I have to be honest, I don't watch that many movies these days. I tend to watch more TV series than anything else. I love the old TV series, the stuff that I grew up with, things like Combat and Rawhide and Maverick, and I love the old stuff, and I'm enjoying going back through a whole lot of old stuff. Just
Oh
great.
yeah, yeah.
I've been watching
I
the
like the
last
ones
few.
that have the episodes.
Yeah, yeah. They
You
were
know,
self-contained story episodes. Yeah. They were
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 That's great. Yeah, I know what you mean. You know, coming home from a dance is you're too keyed up to go to
Yeah.
bed.
Oh, that's I'm always like that.
And, yeah,
Uh, I all dances are good. I haven't had a dance where I felt that, I haven't performed as well as I always think that I could perform better. That's human nature, and that's the way
mhm,
we all are.
mhm.
But um, I enjoy every dance that I do. I'm only calling just for just two groups in my own two clubs down here, so I know every person that's there, and I have a ball. It's
That's good.
just it's super fun every time. It's super fun. Sometimes it's a little bit hard work. The last 6 years, it's been a lot more difficult because I had the stroke 6 years ago, and it took me a little while to get back on top of everything again. And I find that I'm not happy with my voice anymore because I can't hit the notes that I used to be able to hit. I know where my voice should go, but I can't get it. It should go there, but it keeps on going there. I just can't get it, and that's part of the stroke, and it's part of the way that the tongue is placed in the mouth. I just can't do it as much as I used to, but my brain, hopefully, is still going strong. But mind you, I'd think that anyway, wouldn't I? So,
Don't run out of words, do you?
never, never.
No, I know what you mean with the voice. Um, it's just about a year ago, uh, I had some problems, and since then my voice has become raspy. I have no falsetto to my voice. I don't have any
Mm.
range. Um, with my music background, though, I think I might start a Zoomcast on other things to do with your voice uh, in a singing call, other
Yeah,
than actually singing.
yeah,
You could do the old George Burton's routine of partly singing, partly talking.
yeah.
You
Just
know,
chanting. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of things you can do. Anyhow,
yeah, yeah.
um, so how did you get started in square dancing and calling?
um, I was an apprentice electrician at the steelworks. I was a second year apprentice, and the guy who at that time was my tradesman, his name was Bob McGuinness. He was involved in a church group at Corrimal, and it was a couples club. And they found some square dance records, some very old square dance, Ed Gilmore, and very old stuff. And they started doing these records. I went along there one night with the girl that I was going out with at the time, and I thought that was pretty good fun. It looked okay. Um, Bob and his wife didn't have a car, and he didn't have a license, so they wanted to go up to a Square Dance Society of New South Wales had a big dancer ball in Sydney, and so I got the job of taking them up there in the car. And when I got there, I thought I'd seen it with a lot of people dancing, and I thought, wow, this is absolutely fantastic. The caller's name was Tom McGrath, who was actually an American originally, but learned to call and dance in Sydney. And I just thought that was fantastic. And uh, so then the girl that I was going with, Christine, and we just went along to their group, and we just danced with them for a while. It wasn't what we were doing. We discovered that we had no way of knowing anything other than what was on the record. So
Mhm.
we had to interpret what he was actually saying. we did discover sometime later that what we were doing was actually nothing like what we were supposed to be doing. Our concept of a do-si-do was something totally different. There was a whole lot of things that were very, very different. But we had a guy came down from Sydney. He'd been in a callers class, Terry Dodd, and he started a group up, and I went along there and we learned properly then, and I thought it was great. 12 months later, I said, oh, to hell with this. I want to call. This looks like even more fun. And they were having a callers school in Sydney. So I went and joined the callers school, the callers class. Mind you, the callers school that we had used to go every Sunday, all day Sunday, and it went for 6 months. And all that we learnt was to teach about the first 3 nights of a beginner's class. But it was just fun. It was just so much fun. I loved it.
Oh, fantastic. Friends and family describe you.
Crazy.
Yeah. I won't say, but that describes just about every color there is in the world.
Yeah, I think we're all cut from the same mold.
Yeah, you got to be a little bit crazy to do these things. I don't know. Some of the most shy callers or people will get up and try calling. It's amazing.
Yep.
But that's what makes it so darn interesting.
Well,
how would you describe yourself in one word?
Oh, crazy.
Must be a family gene.
I don't know. I don't know how to describe myself. I think I'm positive.
Have you changed over the years?
I've grown. I think we get wiser with age. We learn from our errors, or at least we should learn from our errors. I think that's the biggest change. I think there's a mental attitude that changes. We become more tolerant with age. I think I've become far more tolerant. I never used to suffer fools very well. Nowadays, I do suffer them. But yeah, I think it's tolerance more than anything else. But also, I think I have changed, whereas I looked at everything and saw everything in a very positive light as to the way that our things were going. I don't think that's so anymore. I think I'm looking at it more now, not in a negative light, but in a realistic light, and say, hey, we should have been doing a lot more than we have done to improve and for the future. I think a lot of the problems that we have, I don't know about the rest of the world, but I know here in Australia, I think a lot of the problems that we have associations, both national and statewide, that don't seem to have any goals. They don't seem to have any idea where they're going. To me, life is a matter of setting a goal, moving forward, achieving the goal, setting another goal, moving forward, achieving that goal. Here in our own state, I love the people in our own state, but our association has no goals. They have no idea where they're going. So I think I'm a bit disillusioned with that. We have a national callers body, which I had great expectations for. I was even chairman for a few years, but I'm no longer even a member, because what they're doing, they're not doing anything at all. I think they're basically irrelevant. During COVID, we had a period of time, we had 2 years, 3 years, when a whole lot of things could have been achieved, ideas, plans for the future made, and our association did nothing. We even had one of our callers thank the chairman for doing nothing for 2 years.
Oh my!
Yeah, it's true, and so I'm a bit disillusioned in that. I think we still have a major positive leap forward to make, but I'm not too certain that I will see that very much in the next few years, not unless there's some major changes, which is disappointing because I love this activity. This activity has given me everything. It's given me wife, family, life, and I hate to see anything happen to it.
COVID actually, as far as I'm concerned, brought about some good things. Uh,
Yes.
um, People, when we were finally released, we were anxious to get out to meet people again. And
Mm.
if you monopolize on that or utilize that, you can get people into square dancing. But you
Mm.
got to do it differently. You got to do date nights. You got to do
Yep.
something different. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That's crazy. No, we have to change.
Yeah.
In getting older, yeah, we get more tolerant. But we also, I think, we get tired. That's
Yeah.
why maybe we were sharing so much with the younger ones. Is like, take over, you do
Yeah.
it, and
Your turn. Your
build that
turn.
enthusiasm in those younger uh, callers. And I'm talking about younger callers. I'm talking about. I don't care if you're 40, 45, or 50. You're younger. Keep
Yeah.
going. Jump in there and do it.
Mm.
Which brings me to the point of behind the mic, your note service. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Most everybody that's a caller who's going to watch this on YouTube and everything else uh, already gets it. But
Yeah.
in case there's a few people that don't, let's tell them about it because they can go into the archives and they can pull up
Yeah.
this encyclopedic wealth of information. So,
Yeah. There's about I think there's about 4,000 pages there now. And it's interesting because I'd never started as a sort of like a national publication or international public. It was originally just started just for our own Callers Association here in New South Wales. Um, but it seemed to skyrocket. Pretty start off. We only had just our local members, which were about 40 callers. Then all of a sudden, we had some other callers from Australia asking for it. So then I ended up sending it out to all of our callers in Australia. And then through Facebook, Mel Wilkerson came. He started writing a few articles for me, and he put it on Facebook, and that brought in a whole lot more subscribers. And every month, even last week, there were 3 new subscribers came in last week. Um, it hasn't risen in numbers very much for about 3 years. We have lost a lot of people over the last 3 years through retirement, through death, through ill health. Where a lot of callers have moved on to other areas, which is a shame. But then again, we've had a whole lot of new blood come in. Uh, in the world, there seems to be a lot of newer callers in the last 3 or 4 years. Um, and I think that's one. I wish they were in here in Australia, but they seem to be overseas in some in Europe, in Germany. I don't know about Sweden. I know there's been a couple of new ones in Denmark. I know it seems to be in the States. There seems to be a whole heap in the States. There seems to be a whole heap of new ones in Canada, but predominantly on the West, I think. Um, but, and again, it's some newer ones in the UK. And I think this is just great, just great. So it seems to me for every one that we've lost, we've gained one. So the numbers have basically been around that 12 to 1300 for the last 3 years, and which is great considering it only started just as a local association thing. Um, People, mind you, people that get it probably have to cope with my warped sense of humour. Because I think I do have a fairly odd sense of humour. And I try to infuse a fair amount of humour in there. For this next issue, I've got especially our Australian humour, which I think is unique in the world. Our humour is fairly black and fairly sarcastic. So I've got about a 4-page article that I've written on the various styles of Australian humour. So here we go again. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's interesting, the letters that I've got over the years. I've had a huge amount of people contact me asking for information, sending things to me. Sometimes it's very easy when creating something like this to forget the simple things. And I've discovered when I've gone back in the last few years, I've seen whatever, I haven't done very much for the simple things. Like we've got a whole lot of new callers coming through. The new callers that are coming through, they're not going to be sight callers. They're not going to be mental image callers. They're going to be predominantly module callers. A lot of them are going to be reading stuff because that's how we all start that way anyway. And there was a caller from, I think, just outside of New York, and he said, I'm fairly new. I've only been calling for a couple of years and I've got to teach a class. He said, I don't know how to go about it. I don't know what to do. He said, I've developed a plan of teaching, but he said, I need choreography. I'm not certain. And that's one thing that I haven't done that much with in the last few years is choreography for newer callers and for those first few nights of beginners class. They're our major stumbling block. Unless we sell the dancers in those first few weeks, they leave the activity. We need material, information, ideas, humor that keeps those dancers involved and sells them on their activity. And unfortunately, that's the group that's really forgotten. The new dancers, or should say, the new callers teaching new dancers. We don't do that much with it there as well these days as well. I'm looking down here at the bottom of my screen, and Duna seems to be all over the place. I think she may have fallen over. Duna, have you fallen over yet? Have you been drinking again?
I thought she was practicing gymnastics there.
Well, that's what she does. I think we know Duna well.
You do? Okay. Very good. Yeah, I think you're right about the newer dancers. I think part of our problem with losing dancers is because too many of us are calling for a club that has set a schedule for us that's unrealistic, totally unrealistic. When you look at what people have to learn that they never had to deal with in their life, and so each class should be a dance. It should be a fun. You should have just as much work going into that class for entertainment value. And I'm guilty of it. I was pushing my new class too much a couple of weeks ago. And between myself and my wife, we decided we don't have a schedule. We don't care if by April or May they have learned basic. They're getting a club badge. They're part of the club right away. Get a club badge. Come back next week and have fun. Because if you're not having fun, you're not coming back. And on the other side of the coin, with the younger folks, in a way, it's bittersweet. We teach them things and they look forward to the new thing. What's new this week? What's new this week? Because they can absorb it so well. But we're creating not dancers, we're creating learners who then come to a dance and are disappointed because it's just a dance. But then that's where your entertainment has to come in. I'd like to see that. Maybe I should contribute a little bit of effort to your behind the mic with some of the new things, because I have, I did no services for years and years, and everything from beginners through C3. Did a little bit of C4 on it, but not too much. Just not enough callers doing C4.
Yes,
Um,
with me, I've only ever called through C1,
yeah,
and I haven't called C1 now for I think 4 years, 5 years.
yeah.
We just don't have the people here that are uh, they don't want to do it, and they're happy at the levels they're doing.
That's
Um,
fine. That's good.
and To me, that's what it is. That's what it's all about. It's the
Yeah,
people being happy doing the program they're doing.
yeah.
Um, if they don't want to move up, hey, we're doing a good job.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
That's for sure.
Yep.
Um, so, is there anything in your calling career that you did not expect?
I didn't expect these. So I suppose it's not so much the success. Um, I didn't expect to do as much as I've done, especially with travel. I was only ever interested in just our own clubs. I didn't expect the travel that I had. I remember the first time I went to the States. We went to the States 1976, Sue and I, National Convention, Anaheim, 40,000 people
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And I've never forgotten. We met a lot of people there. John Shallow from California, just a whole lot of people there. And I was invited back to call a few dances. And we went back the next year. I did some dances, and from that, I was invited back to do some more dances. And so I just basically went back, every year. And the same thing in Europe. The first time I had some friends out here from Sweden. Hannah and Lars will know we had Robert Bjork and Ingvar Pedersen. Robert and Ingvar came out here the first time, I think, in 1989. And we got on really well. They were a lot younger than I were, but yeah, they were great fun. And they said, "Come over to Sweden, and we will organise some dances for you." So I said, "Okay, I will come to Sweden." So I actually went to Germany first. I did a week in Calm in Bavaria, which was at a hotel, a square dance resort for a week, calling, morning, afternoon, night, every day for a week. It was great fun. Then I went to Sweden, and Robert and Ingvar, they organized 19 dances in 21 days. And I might be at Malmö down the bottom, then I'd be in Gothenburg, Göteborg on the other side, and then I'm down at Helsingborg, and then I'm up to Stockholm, and then I'm up to Umeå, and then I'm back down to Malmö again. I was all over the place, all by train, which I loved. And
Mhm.
19 dances in 21 days. I tell you, it was tough, but I had an absolute ball. I met some fantastic people. I've never forgotten the first dance that I called. It was a Sunday dance. A friend of mine, Bula Eriksson, who's since passed away. Bula was a great friend. Bula picked me up at the station and he took me to the dance. The dance started at 10 o'clock in the morning. They had an hour's break for lunch, where gave me a break for an hour, but they had callers from the floor. The dancers didn't stop, and it went through till 9 o'clock at night, from 10 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And Hannah and Lars will know there are no breaks between tips. You do basic, mainstream, basic plus, basic, mainstream, basic plus. And as soon as you've finished the basic tip, the people are already squared up for the next tip. So that you do not get to move the stage. And at that time, I was a smoker. I was dying. And I was only a 2 or 3 cigarette a day smoker. So it didn't worry me too much. But that was my first introduction to square dancing in Sweden. I absolutely loved it. But there was one funny story. The following weekend, I had to do a weekend in Malmö, and it was myself and Mike Seastrom, and they'd hired us to do this weekend together. And we had a ball working together. He was one of the best callers to work with anyway. The guy can harmonize with a goat. But we're at the airport, and there's a caller there at the airport who's coming in to do a weekend, and he came from a Chicago area. His name was Guy Adams, And the guy was a great bloke, and he's just got this small briefcase of records. And I said, "How many records you got in?" He said, "I got about 25 records. That's enough to do a weekend." I said, "Well, that might do you the first night." I said, "You will need to borrow a whole heap." And he's, oh, I said, "I'm not kidding," uh, because he was doing a weekend from 10 till 10 Saturday and 10 till 9 on Sunday. And he was going to run out very quick. He phoned me up the week after and he said, "You were right." He said, "I went for about 4.5 hours and I used up every single record that I had." But again, he loved it. He was a great caller guy. He retired fairly early. Yeah, good caller though, but the look on his face, wonderful.
Yeah, you need a lot of music. So what is there one piece of advice that you would give a new caller just starting out at the activity?
Ah, go and listen to every call that you can. Dance to everybody. Get ideas. See how they put everything together. Look at the way that they use music, voice, and just general wordage to entertain the people. Because square dancing it's about entertainment. We're entertainers using the medium of square dance choreography and music, but it's still entertainment. A lot of callers forget, I even with BTM, I get callers who write to me and said, "Oh, some of the things you have put in here are not necessarily correct by the definition." I said, "Well, definitions are well and good, but if we have to break a definition to do something that entertains the dancers, what's the problem? What are we looking at doing? We're there to entertain the dancers. We're there to give them a good time. We're there to give them something to think about. We have to have some form of stimulation, but that's the job." Bill Peters, who was a great friend, Bill always said that square dancing has three elements to it. It has the sensual element. The sensual element is dancing to music. Every other form of dancing has that anyway. What makes square dancing different? Square dancing has an intellectual aspect. It's an aspect of problem solving. No other form of dancing has the problem solving aspect that square dancing has. And he said there's also a third element that it has, coupled with the first two, is the entertainment aspect. The guy up there has to be an entertainer. He has to entertain the people. Um, the biggest problem is creating a balance between the sensual and the intellectual and the entertainment. You've got to have a good, even balance. Somebody said, "Oh, well, problem solving, you got to, you can only take problem solving so far, and then you've got to give way to smooth dancing." Well, you've got to incorporate smooth dancing, that all comes into it. But when you think about it, if a dancer goes to beginner's class, a beginner's class is all about problem solving. The caller is setting a problem for the dancers, giving them the information that the dancers can solve the problem. But it's 100% problem solving. The only time it's not problem solving is when we've got a nice, relaxing singing call. Other than that, we're giving them the solution for them to create, for them to finish the problem themselves. But it's having that balance between the smooth dancing and the problem solving. Problem solving never stops. That's the intellectual part of square dancing. If we didn't have that, we may as well give up and go 10-pin bowling or line dancing. There you go. Line dancers are like Jaden. They wear black for excitement. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would take Bill's three key points and say that they all aim at developing new social skills for the dancer, as well as social acceptance. How many times have you seen a shy couple come in, they sit by themselves, they don't interact, and by 6, 7 weeks later, they're starting to yak it up with other people. Um, in years to come, they might even become the club president.
Yep.
Whatever, is so. It's just a great thing for people. It's like what it did to you. You say it did it for you. It made your life.
Mm.
And it can do the same thing for other people. And so many people, you see them grow socially so well.
Oh,
To me, that's our kind of our bonus.
yeah. And it's people that come square dancing. I think people that come square dancing are smart people. They're intelligent people. I think there are callers out there that don't give the dancers credit enough for being intelligent. Some of them treat them like little children, but they're smart people. They wouldn't be square dancing if they weren't. Mm.
But what about the dancers who are technically intelligent, high IQ, and yet they don't get it compared
No?
to some people who are not all that bright and they get it. It'd be interesting to find out what goes on in the brain for that.
Yeah. I just noticed Duna's back with us again. She looks like she's picked herself up off the floor after falling over after a drunken night last night. Hi, Duna.
Very good. But
Brian's down there looking very, very pensive.
yeah.
Well, I came in late, and I was just wondering if you guys could just, go over the things that I missed.
No.
We're gonna write them up and we're gonna sell them.
Well, Barry, I just wanted to say one thing to you. Chuck Jordan says hi.
Chuck and Marguerite, wonderful, wonderful people. Say hi back to him. Yeah, great friends.
Yeah, I talk to him at least twice a month. So, yeah. He's still kicking around.
Yeah, we go back a long while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's go on with something that Brian reminded me of. Barry, have you done any karaoke?
Not really. No, I don't think I can carry a tune. I think my voice is okay, but getting up there and doing karaoke has never been something that I particularly wanted to do. I'm a ham when I'm on stage in a square dance hall, but I don't really want to be a ham in any other time.
You have to learn too many words.
Yeah.
Or you have to read the words. So.
I like to. I love what I do. I have fun when I'm on stage. I often hope that I often wonder if the dancers on the floor are having as much fun as I am.
Yeah. How many times do they look up at you and they say, "You're having fun, aren't you?"
Yeah, there's so many things. Last Thursday night, we have a dance downstairs. We have an A2 night on Thursday night, and it's downstairs. So I just got to walk down the steps. And we've only got 1.5 squares there. And on Thursday night, I had to stop because I was doubled over with laughter because of the carry-on that was happening on the floor. And this is, to me, this is what I want to. I'm having fun. I'm having a ball.
Mm-hmm.
They're entertaining me. My life is about entertainment. As you know, as I said before, I'm a collector. I'm a movie buff. I have altogether about 8,000, DVDs, Blu-rays, 4Ks in the house. I have about 7,000 CDs as well. I love music. I'm a soundtrack collector. I love musical theatre, so I've got a huge amount of musicals as well. I love Australian music, so I've got a lot of Aussie stuff there as well. I'm involved in lots of things with entertainment. We have a jigsaw puzzle down there going continuously. When we finish one, we automatically put another one up. Our group dances on Thursday night. When they're not dancing, they're in there doing the jigsaw puzzle as well. I'm also I'm a gamer. I play board games. I play strategy board games, and I play strategy board games 1 or 2 times a week. And these are good, solid board games. Most of them come from Europe these days, but and I've got a collection of about 2,500 board games.
Good grief.
Mm.
Okay. Well, that covers what you do in your downtime.
Yeah, I have no downtime.
No. Type A personality, right?
Yeah.
Busy. So if you were writing your autobiography, what would the title be?
Oh, a fun life.
Yeah. Okay. And when life is over, what's going to be on your tombstone, so to speak?
He's dead. He's dead.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. Who cares? I don't really know. I would hope it would have to be something that he gave his best.
Yeah, good. There are so many things that come to mind, but start thinking about that now. You've done a lot of writing of for the behind the mic thing, and just things in general. But have you journaled much of your own personal life for your next generation to read and find out what great granddad did?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that I've done here that I've got on a computer for the family for the future. My life is pretty much an open book for the family. I put down lots of little notes on the computer and everything, which they'll find when I'm gone anyway, hopefully in about 100 years' time. But yeah, as I said, my life has been good. I've been blessed with kids, with our daughters, with our grandkids. We've got, as I said, we've got 3 grandkids and one with a tiny bit on the way with a lesser. So
yeah. One more coming.
Yeah, Duna missed out before I told everybody that Alessa told us yesterday, Duna, that she's pregnant again. So she just told us yesterday. So wonderful. We were up at her place in her and her partner Madison. Madison's a really good guy. He's a big guy, and we were up there in January. They live in the Gold Coast, and it was bloody hot. And their house that they're renting was only a fairly small house, and there was Sue and I, Lesser and Madison, the baby Paxton, who's 18 months, running around everywhere. They have 2 dogs, Rudy and Alizé, and Rudy 2 weeks before that had given birth to 9 pups.
Oh, gee.
All of this together in a small house in the middle of summer when we had all the storms up there, lost power for days.
It's fun.
Oh yeah, it was fun.
Oh man. So, do you have a favorite childhood memory?
I think the things that I discovered, I discovered, that I loved movies when I was young. I remember early days of television, which I thought was fun. I remember when we used to walk down the main street of Wollongong here to watch television in the window of a shop. But I love this, the discovery of some of the movies. I love the discovering of great authors that I really, really enjoy. I love music. I remember I had a car accident in 1966, 3rd of December 1966, and I was in hospital for quite a while. And I was only, only a teenager, and I remember having to listen to the radio, and they had the radio station in the hospital. They had it in a lot of different stations other than pop stations, and I had really never listened to any other form of music at that time. And I found that I listened to the music, some light classical stuff, and I found I really, really enjoyed it. That was the first time that I listened to, many soundtrack music, and I love those. I remember going to see the movie Lawrence of Arabia at the Plaza Cinema in Sydney in George Street, and coming out of that movie, with that haunting piece of music for Lawrence going through my head. And I think that was the first LP that I ever bought with had soundtrack music. It's just soundtrack. Those things have lasting memories for me. All the women I went out with.
All the women?
Yeah, I remember. I was involved in quite a few different church groups because the church groups had all the best girls.
Yeah. So who was your first kiss?
Her name was Margaret. That was the first one that was the first one that was a serious kiss.
Wow.
But the best one was my wife.
Is she up now?
Oh yeah, she's in the kitchen out there.
Okay. I don't know, Brian.
She's been married to me for 49 years. So
oh my gosh. Okay, she knows she knows you're lying, I don't know, Brian, have you understood a word that this Australian guy has been talking? I understand a few of these words.
I do okay with accents. I don't have any issues.
Yeah, but
now Barry, if you liked Lawrence of Arabia, then you're probably really going to like Dune Part 2.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
I watched it yesterday. It was amazing.
What is it called?
Dune Part 2.
Dune. What is there a Dune Part 1?
There was.
Yes, there is. Frank Herbert, one of my favorite authors of all time. And I like what Denis Villeneuve did with the first one. The second one, I was reading a review of it yesterday. There's a website that I go to every day called The Digital Bits. It's run by a guy the name of Bill Hunt, and he saw it the day before yesterday, and he said it was absolutely amazing. One of the all-time great films ever made, and a true epic.
Yep, and the score is done by Hans Zimmer.
Yes,
so it's amazing. It's very well done. So go see it on the biggest screen you can.
Yeah, well, that is IMAX is the way to go with it, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but also don't buy any snacks or any drinks because it's a 3-hour movie.
Yep.
Do they Bluetooth these things so you could put them through your hearing aid?
With some of the places you can, but the problem there is you lose the surround sound, because most of them are multi-channel surround, and with Bluetooth and everything, with headphones and earphones, you can only pick up the 2 channels.
Well, at least you don't lose the dialogue, eh?
Yep. And well, when it comes here, I put it on my theater, my 186-inch screen out the back, and I turn the sound up. Susie says to me every night, "Will you turn that sound down?"
Yeah, well, I've got that built into my hearing aids. So when everybody goes to bed and I watch TV, I turn that volume off entirely. And I can get up and use the bathroom, and I still have the sound in my ears.
Yeah.
So what? Oh, I had one. Oh yeah, what superpower would you like to have?
What superpower? Hmm. I don't know that I want a super voice.
Okay, and that would make everything okay.
Yeah, that would make everything okay.
You get more women that way, I guess. Well, let's move on. We're getting close to the end here. Actually, we're a little over, but that's okay. Um, have you ever category here? Have you ever ridden a motorcycle?
No,
Have you ever jumped out of an airplane?
no.
You want to talk to Di Green and Betsy Gata? Both of those ladies have jumped out of airplanes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, talk about adventurous people. Have you
Yes.
ever flown in a hot air balloon?
No, I've never been up in a hot air balloon either.
Okay, that's a fantastic thing to do. Anything with water? Scuba diving?
I've never been scuba diving.
Motorboat or sailboat?
Yes, both of those.
Both. You do the sailing yourself?
No, just with other people.
Other people? Yeah, okay. You've obviously worked in a factory, I think, if you're an electrician.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been in the armed forces?
No, no. They wouldn't have me.
Should we go there?
We had national service here, Vietnam. My birthday was drawn out of the barrel. I was called up, and we had to I went to the hospital for the medical, and the doctor, who was probably only about 2 years older than I was, he said, "Do you want to go?" And I said, "No way." He said, "Okay, you failed."
Oh my gosh. I spent a couple of years on Guam during that Vietnam fiasco. That's where all the B-52s took off to bomb Vietnam. So it was like constant airplane noise. Ridden a horse?
Yes, I've only ever been on a horse once in my life, and that's something I never forgot. It was I'd called a dance in Nebraska, I think it was, and they took me out to Buffalo Bill's ranch,
Ooh.
and they took me on this horse ride for an hour. And I'd never been on a horse in my life before. After 15 minutes, I was hoping the horse would trip over, fall, and die so I could get off. After an hour, we got off and walked around a little bit, and they said, "We've got to take you out for lunch." So still on Buffalo Bill's ranch, they had this lunch in these Conestoga chuck wagons, where you sit on this bloody wooden seat for another hour after being on this goddamn horse. Then I have to sit on a wooden seat for an hour. I could hardly walk. So I have great memories of riding a horse.
Obviously, you don't want to go back to Nebraska to fall anymore.
I love the people. I actually did go back twice. I think they had me back.
Have you ever wished to be taller or shorter?
I'm 5'8". I'm happy with what I am. I don't feel short. I don't feel tall. I just feel like I'm me. That's it.
Can you reach the stuff in the kitchen and the high cupboard?
Everything that I need, I can.
Okay, that's good. You play a musical instrument?
No, I don't. Play the fool.
And you told me you didn't do karaoke. Have you ever pulled taffy?
No, I've never pulled taffy. I've watched people do it though.
Maple syrup? Do you have maple syrup, maple trees much around your area?
don't have very many maple trees. Well, not that I know of. But, I love maple syrup on pancakes
Uh-huh.
for dessert.
Uh-huh. Very good. Okay. Not that I've run out of questions, but I'd like to turn it over to the people watching here. Duna probably has something, either a comment about Barry or a question for Barry. Anybody?
But John knows me well. Duna knows me well.
Any
Well,
embarrassing?
I giggled just a little bit when he answered so quickly to the motorboating question. I connected the two, the motorboating to the women in the church groups. I just
Yeah.
assumed he was motorboating them.
Yes, yes.
I can remember it must be about 30 years ago. I was at your place, Barry, and the thing that amazed me so much was there was one wall that didn't have a space you could see the wall. It was all videos and DVDs.
Yeah, well, it's all of our walls are full. Even you can see the wall behind me, and this is the front bedroom. It's got all pictures on it everywhere. These are the ones behind me. They're all from Disneyland. They're all posters from rides in Disneyland. Except the bottom one behind me is a photograph that Susie took in Disney World. No, Disneyland in California. I was an amateur photographer. I always loved, love cameras. I know I've got so many things that I'm involved with.
Did you ever develop your own film?
No, I always wanted to, but it used to be so expensive to actually do it that way as well, because you have to. It was the setup, and so I'm happy to have somebody else, or was happy to have somebody else do it.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
God for digital photography nowadays. It's just so easy, It's, and nowadays, well, I don't use a single lens reflex camera. I've got one of the mirrorless cameras. I bought it about 5 years ago in Singapore. And that's fantastic. It's just so wonderful.
And what is it called?
Mirrorless. It doesn't have a mirror. It doesn't go through the
Really?
system. Oh, they're terrific cameras.
I've never heard of that. Huh.
I think it cost me about $1,500 at the time, and since then they've all become cheaper.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. Well, I know when I was in Japan the first time I bought Spotmatics, Pentax, and all the gear there, and I didn't think it was that expensive. I would use the bathroom for my dark room, which didn't go over well with the rest of the family, but
I can imagine.
it's the only room in the building without a window.
Yeah.
And you get involved, like you say, you get so involved with these things. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So you're not going to pass away of boredom, that's for sure.
Definitely not in this house. We've also got collections. I'm a collector. In the hallway, I've got hundreds of plates on the wall, collector's plates. I've got one section of a wall with nothing but coffee mugs. There are racks of coffee mugs. I think there are 13 high and about 12 deep.
Duna is showing you one.
And it's just and the coffee mug, a lot of these coffee, all to do with movie theme, and a lot of them I created the artwork for them. I created the artwork, and then I had a company here called Optimal Print. They printed it for me.
Oh, wow.
So lots of. I love good artwork as well. So that sort of thing I really enjoy doing.
Well, do you paint?
No.
Hmm.
I don't have any ability as an artist. I think I've got a good eye for art as far as photography goes.
Mhm.
I've got eye for angles and shots, but other than that, I don't think I have any artistic merit. I don't think I have an artistic bone in my body when it comes to painting or drawing. I have trouble drawing a stick figure.
I have trouble drawing a stick,
Yeah, yeah.
but that doesn't stop me. I've got up here. I've got a whole bunch of watercolor stuff that I've gone through.
I did paint by numbers a few times.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think you're like me. You know, if you had an extra minute somewhere, you found a whole new activity.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
let's do that.
That's right.
That's great.
A friend of mine, David Cox. David's another caller from here in Australia. He's now moved to Indonesia. He lives in Surabaya. And David got me involved in games about 15 years ago. We were up at his place and we stayed there. He introduced us to a couple of games, Ticket to Ride and another one called Niagara and Catan. And, you know, that got me into games. And as I said, now I've got over 2,000 board games down there. I go to a games group every Wednesday night. And we had a group here at the university every second Sunday where we go from 10 o'clock in the morning till about 6 or 7 o'clock at night and just play games all day long. So
That's great.
I said, you know, life is never boring.
No, well, like you say, you want to live at least another 100 years, and I always felt like you have to live longer because there's still so much more to do, eh?
Yeah, yeah. As I said, like we're all at the age where many of us are. There are always health issues. I'm touch wood. I've been lucky. I have health issues like everybody does. You know, diabetes. I had the stroke, cirrhosis of the liver, high blood pressure, but it's all livable with for a while anyway. And you know, it could be a lot worse. I look at a lot of our friends who have been so healthy, and Brian Hotchkiss is a good example. Brian has been so healthy until basically when he turned 80 in December, and with the diagnosis of leukemia. This is anything can happen to any of us any time, but doesn't matter. We just still live our life. All that matters.
I figure if I can get another 50 years, they'll develop something that'll at least save the brain, whatever,
Yeah.
if there is one. And then, you know, just put it on another body.
That's there's the old saying, they say, you can't take it with you. Well, if you can't take it with it, damn it, I'm not going to go.
That's the one that you go on your tombstone, then I think somehow. I said I couldn't take it with me. Watch out, I'm coming back.
That's right. Yeah, I'm going to come back and haunt.
So Barry, it sounds like you'd really enjoy the Tech Squares weekend that they have once a year.
Yeah.
They have it up in Troy, New Hampshire at East Hill Farm, and the way that they run the weekend, it's all it is it's a plus weekend. They do I think 4 plus sessions, but between all of the sessions, they have tables set out, and on all the tables they have games where they play board games. And they play them well into the evening. So like even after the dance, they'll be playing board games until like 3 or 4 in the morning. And and they're not like the simple board games. They're very challenging board games because most of the people are MIT grads. So they're all very, very intelligent people. So
that would be the type of board games that we play.
Yes.
Most of the games that we play, they're not what we call gateway games. They're technical games. They're really solid, and it's just fun. You know, sometimes they're brain burners, but most of the time it's great. But the Tech Squares would be good as well.
Oh yeah, well, and the dancers were awesome. It was a fun dance to call. Certainly, I could call anything. and they didn't care. And actually, if anything, they complained that I was helping them too much.
I remember the first time I was in Vancouver. They had the Pacific Northwest Teen Festival up there. The competition that I think they still have them, do they, up there?
They
Yes,
do.
they do.
It'll be held in Seattle this May.
And honestly, I was absolutely gobsmacked at it. It was absolutely awesome.
When were you here for that?
That must have been 25 years ago.
Then I would have been there.
Because it was Chuck and Marguerite that took me there originally.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, because I've been competing. Well, I was competing from 1980 through 1990, and then from about 92 onwards, I've been a judge. So, and I've continued on. I'll be a judge this year as well.
Oh, wow. I'm just trying to remember. I've still got the tape. I put it onto CD, I think, of the callers that were there, who were the mystery caller at the time, Dave.
Oh, Dave Stevens?
Yes, Dave Stevens. Yeah.
Dave Stevens was the one who trained me.
Yeah. Absolutely awesome choreography that he came up with. Just truly brilliant. Brilliant.
Yes.
It's the first time that I'd seen competition in that form, and I thought it was just superb.
Well, I think we're coming pretty close to the end here. I want to thank Barry for coming on and being in the hot seat and then answering a lot of these silly questions, crazy questions. But, you know, it's good to find out what the guys like on the other side of the mic as well.
Yeah.
Not just the caller side. You know, we all have private lives. And, you know, hopefully a lot of dancers do watch these because they get a better picture of where we're all coming from. We're addicted, you know, to the activity.
Yeah, and we're still involved in it. We're still training other people. It's still got a future, and that's the important thing. We're presenting a positive image to those who follow us. We're leaving great legacies, I think. You know, so all that matters. And we got young people coming through in some areas of the world, not here, but everywhere else, except for our state here in Australia. Although in South Australia, there's not many new callers down there, is there, John?
No, we got nobody new. Ian's probably the newest one, Ian Rudder.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, what about Ros Turnbull?
Ros,
Yeah.
she's my trainee, yeah.
I know, yeah.
Good. She's coming to our Canadian convention in July, and she's nervous as all get out. But we got talk about weird ends of the spectrum. She's going to be doing a tip with Ed McAtee, who doesn't do mainstream really that much. In fact, it started at one of the gay color schools that I started many years ago.
Now, do you teach them to be gay, or are they gay to begin with?
Maybe I teach them. I'm not sure how that works because.
To me, it's just a color school. I don't know, and because unless you're teaching them to be gay, it's just a color school.
Well, gay. They call it the gay color school, don't they?
They do. Well, I know they call it that. I just find it silly.
Well, it is in a way.
They're having fun.
Well,
well, but that's a color school from the 20s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, in Toronto, we had a gay club that I co-founded, Triangle Squares, and called for them for 30 years. And one night I was early, and I was in this card shop looking at cards along Church Street, which is part of the gay section of town. And one of the dancers came in and saw me, and he said, Joe, he said, I didn't know you were gay. I said, I'm not, but I'm certainly very happy. But anyhow, yeah, Ross and Ed are going to do it together, including a singing call. So
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
John, you'll have your work out for you. And some, I'm sure she'll ask you about it.
Yeah, Ros,
Yeah.
she's such a wonderful person. She really is.
She's sharp. She's caught on to the idea of dancers. They're supposed to win, which many of us don't always remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very keen mind and very, very well aware of what she's doing. She'll be an asset in the activity.
She booked to go to the caller school at the National in America as well, in the USA as well. And they asked her to send over a caller profile. And now they've told us she's got a call at the convention as well.
Well, she's calling it this one. Not too much because she's kind of nervous, but I'll certainly give her equal spots. In fact, we were talking about calling and longevity and stuff like that. Canadian National, we have over 1,300 years of dancing or calling experience coming. Over 500 national conventions, U.S., Canadian, that these people have attended. So with about 42, 43 callers, I mean, we've got people like myself with 60 years. Betsy has got 62. Of course, she did start when she was a kid. That's cheating. Jeff Priest, he started when he was a kid. So we got some people that make up the bulk of it. Not enough new ones, though.
I used to correspond with Jeff's father, Lloyd.
Oh, yes. I think, I called with him once on a boat on Lake Champlain. I think it was him. And the boat went up in the front and up in the back, and it had this center section where you could go inside and have drinks. And I called it Grand Square. And I was calling in the front of the boat. I know there's technical terms, but I don't know them. I only race sailboats. Anyhow, the sides did their facing, and half of them struggled up the hill, and half of them struggled to not fall down the hill on the Grand Square. But that was an interesting thing. Yeah, Lloyd and was a very powerful figure in square dancing.
Yeah.
Back then.
I got to know him through when I had figuring the note service. He was doing the Toronto and district callers note service there, and exchanged and everything. We had lots of correspondence. But in those days, there was probably about 25 different note services.
Oh yeah.
You had Warren Burkwam had one for Minnesota callers. Of course, Bill Davis was doing one for Santa Clara Valley. Ted Wegener was doing one for Southern California. It was just note services everywhere.
Yeah, Jack Lazary. I had one. It's. But the thing was, there was still that air of not sharing as much as we're doing now.
Yeah, that's right.
My idea was to show what you could do with the calls. This is the rule. This is the standard. What else can you do with it? Yeah. Even simple things like doing a swing through from a left-hand wave. Different callers would say, "Well, you can't do that." Well, yeah, you can. It doesn't mean you should. Anyhow, I thank everybody for coming on and joining in. And especially for Barry, and also John, Eileen, and Dina for waking up so early, and Lars for staying up so late. Gary, he's still in bed in the dark. He always joins us with.
I can get back to bed now.
Yeah. Already.
Hey,
Thanks,
Barry,
folks.
I sent you a couple links on Facebook. You can take a look at.
I saw
Video.
that. Yeah,
Some videos.
I'll have a look. Yeah, it's fabulous.
Enjoy.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
it's
everybody.
been good to talk to everybody, and it's been nice. Thank you, Joe, for having me, and I've been nicely had. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Okay, then we'll see you all. See you all again. See you, Brian. See you, Carrie. See you, everybody.
Thanks, Barry. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks.